Once you're confident that your Revit model is ready for importing into Twinmotion, we can open Twinmotion, and then usually you'll be greeted with this welcome screen, and your most recent projects will be here. So in our case, we just close this, and right away what I do is I delete all this unnecessary stuff. So here on the scene graph on the right side, I click on the elements here. This is the starting base, and I just delete it with our delete button. I'm just clicking the keyword delete button. And then starting landscape, I also delete this. And the starting ground, unless my project is resting on the ground floor, I also delete this one. Okay, so I like a fresh canvas like this before I import my Revit model. To bring our model to Twinmotion, we are going to go here to the Import tab at the bottom. So you click that, and you click the plus icon. So there are actually two ways to bring in a model. First is the geometry, which will bring in our model as a static object. That means we cannot update our model anymore without re-exporting and re-importing it back into Twinmotion. So we don't want that. What we want is to create a direct link between Revit and Twinmotion. So if you click direct link, you'll see our model here. If it doesn't appear here, sometimes you just need to close your Revit file and reopen it, and by right it will appear here. Okay, so remember in our previous lesson I mentioned that the default 3D view is what Twinmotion will bring in. So as you can see here, it's reading the 3D view. So again, whatever we see in that view is what Twinmotion will bring in. Now, there's a couple of things we should take note of here in the import parameters here. The most important thing is this collapse parameter. So we want to use keep hierarchy so that we'll be able to select each of the Revit elements individually from each other. So that means if I see the other options here, if I choose collapse by material, it will group those elements with the same material into one mesh. So this is not ideal. And then the last option is collapse all. In this case, it will just merge everything into one object. So again, for our Revit project, this is not the ideal case. So in some cases, we will use this if we're bringing in like furniture or geometry from other models. I usually use collapse all because I'd like to be able to select that object as one element in the scene graph. But in our case, the Revit project, I always use keep hierarchy. The rest of the options we can leave to default, and with that we can click on the import button. So it will not appear just yet inside here in Twinmotion. That's because we have to go back to our Revit file and navigate to the Datasmith tab and click on the synchronize button. So if you're not seeing the Datasmith tab, that means you haven't installed the Twinmotion Datasmith Exporter Plugin. I'll paste the link on the description below. So you have to install that if you're using Revit 2023 and below. If you're using Revit 2024 and above, I think it's already built in. So it may not be under Datasmith. I think it may be under Manage in Revit 2024. But in any case, you'll just have to look for the Twinmotion icon, and then you should see a synchronize button similar to this. So if you click that, it will read a while, and then if you go back to Twinmotion, you should see it appear already in our scene. To move around in Twinmotion, we use the WASD keys to move. W to move forward, S to go back, A to go left, and D to go right. And then to look around, you hold down your right mouse button, and then you can look around. So it's similar to any modern first-person shooter game. And then additionally, we can go up by holding down the Q key to go up and E key to go down. Okay, so let's inspect the model a little here. So if you remember, I mentioned that we have set the actual material for the flooring. As you can see, it already came into Twinmotion. Similar for the laminate for the table. The rest are like generic materials from Revit, and as you can see, this glass doesn't look good. So right away, let's change this. Only this for now. We'll have a separate section for materials later, but for now, bear with me. Go to the materials tab here on the left, and then under glass, look for item glass, and then just drag it onto that blue glass material that we have. So like this, because it can be misleading to have that blue glass material. Okay, so with this, we can proceed to the next step. At this point of the project, I usually test if there really is a live link between the Revit model and our Twinmotion file. So to do that, we can go back to the Revit project and just try to change something. For example, this chair, I'm going to move it to this corner. And if I click the sync button and go back to our Twinmotion application, yes, we should see the chair update accordingly. So that means there really is a live link between the Revit model and Twinmotion. So I can just undo this and then resync, and then we should see the file update accordingly. So once you're confident that your live link is indeed working, we can then proceed to the next step.